This is a grasshopper. This animal is from the phylum Arthropoda. The name of the phylum tells us that it has jointed appendages, which you can see here. The subphylum is Hexapoda, and the class is Insecta, and the order of this animal is Orthoptera. Grasshoppers are either male or female, and that can be determined by looking at the posterior end. Here we see a male and a female. The female possesses structures called ovipositors. These are used to dig into the ground so that they can make a hole in which to lay their eggs. That is what I'm pointing out here, whereas the male has a very smooth posterior end. Insects like the grasshopper exhibit tagmatization. This is the fusion of body segments into specialized regions. We have 3 tagmata: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Focusing in on one of the 6 walking legs, let's take a look at a jumping leg to notice the 6 major parts. First, we have the coxa, which is where the leg connects to the body. Next, we have a short but wide segment called the trochanter. Beyond that is the femur. That's the same name of the upper leg of a human. The jumping leg femur is quite muscular and very large. Beyond the joint, we find the tibia. Notice the spines on the tibia. This helps with traction in the grass. Then we have the tarsus. On the tarsus, we can see these white discs. These are called tarsal pads, and they also help with traction against a variety of surfaces. And lastly, we can find a set of claws at the very end that make up the pretarsus. Having observed the details of the walking legs, I'm now going to remove them so that we can see other external anatomy more clearly. I'm going to remove each of these walking legs with a twisting motion. As I do so, notice not only is the leg coming off, but also a little bit of muscle. That's because the walking legs require muscle in order to do their job. Recall that there are 3 pair of walking legs and 3 thoracic segments, one associated with each. However, there are only 2 pair of wings. One pair of wings, the forewings, are associated with the mesothorax, and these are very thick and they are more or less for protection. The second set of wings is associated with the metathorax, and these are the flight wings. Notice how thin they are and how they spread out and allow the grasshopper to fly. Moving anteriorly to the head, there are a number of sensory structures. First, there is a pair of antennae. Typically, these are a couple inches long. However, they can get damaged either in nature or through the process of preserving, storage, and transportation. The antennae are connected to the head at a structure called the scape. The next segment is called the pedicle, and the length is called the flagellum. Now, the function of the antenna is sensory, both chemosensory, to sample the air for chemicals around it, sort of like our sense of smell or taste, and the sense of tactility. The flagellum has a lot of short hairs along its length to increase the surface area of the antenna in order to facilitate that chemosensory function. Furthermore, there is a pair of compound eyes on the head. They are called compound eyes because each eye is composed of a large number of hexagonally faceted structures, each bearing a lens. These compound eyes are capable of forming images to allow the grasshopper to see the environment around it. There are also simple eyes called ocelli. Ocelli are not capable of forming images. They only detect light levels or light intensity. A pair of ocelli are found at the base of each antenna. Now, these are going to be very difficult to see through the camera, but under magnification you would be able to see them. The third ocellus is found right in between the 2 compound eyes. Moving toward the mouth, note that it is surrounded by a variety of mouth parts. Most obvious are 2 pair of palps that are used to manipulate the food, as well as to sense the food to determine if it is suitable for consumption. The most anterior mouth part is a little flap called the labrum. It acts as an upper lip to help contain the food in the mouth region. I'm going to remove the labrum with this pair of forceps. Doing so is going to expose the mandibles or the jaws. Next, we find 2 maxillae on either side. These each bear 1 palp. Then on the bottom, we have another structure called the labium that is sort of like a bottom lip. I'm going to pull the labium off with this pair of forceps. Now we can see, looking at the labium, that it has one of those pairs of palps that we discussed earlier. Now I'm going to try and take off one of the maxillae. These are a little bit tougher to take off than the other 2 structures. Once I have removed all of these mouth parts, then you can see the mandibles more clearly. If I remove a mandible, you can see that there is a serrated edge that is used to help chew up things like grass that a grasshopper will consume. Moving posteriorly to the abdomen, there are a couple of notable features. First, notice that the degree of segmentation is much more distinct in the abdomen than in the head or thorax stigmata. If you look closely at each of these abdominal segments, as well as the segments in the thorax, you might be able to find some very tiny openings called spiracles. Now, these spiracles are going to be very, very difficult to see through the camera and even with the naked eye. However, with magnification through a dissection scope, you would be able to see these openings. The spiracles are respiratory openings. So oxygen is going to enter the spiracles and carbon dioxide is going to be released from the spiracles as part of the respiratory cycle. When we get to the internal anatomy, you will be able to see more of this respiratory system. The last structure that I want to point out is the tympanum. That is this circular structure on the side of the abdomen. It's actually on both sides. It's a pair. The tympanum is an organ for hearing or sensing vibration, kind of like the eardrum in humans or other animals. Now, the cuticle that covers the tympanum is a lot thinner than it is for the rest of the grasshopper's exoskeleton. So to compensate for this, the grasshopper protects it by covering it with its large jumping legs. We've removed those here, so we're able to see the tympanum very clearly, but in a living specimen, they would be far more protected. To observe the internal anatomy of the grasshopper, I will begin dissection. Using a pair of scissors, I will make a shallow cut from the posterior tip all the way to just behind the head of the grasshopper. It's important to keep the cuts very shallow, pressing as closely as I can to the body wall so that I don't damage any tissues that are underlying. As I open the body, notice some very fine hair-like tubules that extend from the body wall internally. These are called trachea. As I open the body further, the trachea will actually begin to break off from the body wall. When intact, these are part of the respiratory system. They connect to the spiracles that we discussed on the outside of the abdomen and into the thorax on each segment of the grasshopper. These are going to bring air from the spiracles, from the environment, into the body and take it down all the way to the muscles and tissues of the grasshopper's body. Conversely, any waste carbon dioxide will also travel through these tubules and out of the spiracles. Circulatory, reproductive, and nervous structures can be very hard to discern unless the specimen is particularly well preserved. In this case, I'm not seeing any of those structures very clearly. At this point, I'm going to remove a little bit of this loose tissue. It is mostly fat and connective tissue, but this will allow us to get a better view of the digestive system. Now we can see the digestive system more clearly. A good landmark is this narrowed region here called the proventriculus. Anterior to the proventriculus is the crop. The crop is a storage organ for food until it's ready for digestion. Posteriorly, we have the stomach. It's also sometimes called the ventriculus. And this is where digestion and absorption of nutrients is going to take place. The absorption of nutrients is going to be aided by structures called gastric ceca. And these are the finger-like projections that surround this region. They go all the way around the digestive tract. You can see one finger of the gastric ceca right here. These are going to produce enzymes to facilitate digestion. Surrounding the stomach, and even more posteriorly surrounding the intestine, are tiny thread-like structures called Malpighian tubules. While we can see these somewhat here, they are better represented under magnification. The function of the Malpighian tubules is excretory and osmoregulation, similar to the function of kidneys in us. Now, the circulatory system of insects is an open system. That means that there is a heart that pumps circulatory fluid, which is called hemolymph in this case, but not into vessels. Rather, it moves the circulatory fluid around the organs and the muscles and the tissues within the grasshopper freely. The Malpighian tubules function to collect any metabolic waste or excess water from the hemolymph to be dumped into the intestine so that it can pass out with the digestive waste.